Good morning and welcome to worship at Peace Lutheran in Lauderdale. And it's good to be with you guys this morning. A little bit of a chaotic morning, but it's good to be together. I thought things were starting to simmer down when I got a text message from Barb saying that I sent out an email telling everybody on Zoom and elsewhere that we're going to start at 10 a.m. And I remember changing that on the Zoom or on the text or email or whatever format there was. It used to be we wrote with chalk on a board and that was it. And so I had to scramble to get my computer going to send out another email to let everybody know. So for those that'll be showing up at 10 a.m., I'm not doing this again. But sorry about that. Couple announcements as we get started. Are there any announcements that would like to be offered up? Anything?
In case you haven't seen your Gmail for the last few days, Firefly Trio is having their first outdoor concert coming up this Thursday night at 7 p.m. It's at our violinist yard. Catrice Ziefel is the host. And so if you want to come, I'll send you the address. She didn't want to put it on Facebook. So you're welcome. Hope everybody can come.
All right. Else. Anybody else? Anybody else? Golden Village in July, and our deadline has passed, Frida. So Frida backed out. She can't come back anymore. So you're out. You're totally out. I've been begging her to get back in, but we have a little bit of an echo and a couple recordings going on. Anyways, it's good to be with you, and we're going to start worship with an opening hymn on 851 in your red books. I also sent it out on your email link, so you're welcome to join with us and sing along. Like usual, I will mute myself so you don't hear me singing by myself into the computer. Yep, hold on. You got unmute, Vicki. It's not muted. Okay. Oh, technical difficulties. 851 is the hymn number, 851. 851. The Lord be with you, and also with you. Let us pray. God, most compassionate and merciful, we thank you that you have come whose disciples we are. Make us strong in your strength, make us wise in your wisdom, and make us gentle in your compassion. May we be signs of the human unity you seek to accomplish through the cross of Jesus Christ, that your name may be glorified in all the earth. Amen. Please be seated as we continue to read the first lesson, which is the second lesson. The first lesson is someplace else, and we're going to leave it be. So second lesson is Romans chapter 5. So this is Trinity Sunday. It's the one Sunday a year that we talk about the Trinity intentionally, and all pastors kind of bite their fingernails and try to figure out how not to get expelled from the church, and because we're supposed to explain it, right? It's like explaining air. Since we are justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have obtained access to this grace in which we stand. And we boast in our hope of sharing the glory of God. And not only that, but we also boast in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. And hope does not disappoint us, because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit that has been given to us. Now, the Holy Gospel according to John, the 16th chapter. All right. So Jesus said to the disciples, I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all the truth, for he will not speak on his own, but will speak whatever he hears, and he will declare to you the things that are to come. He will glorify me because he will take what is mine and declare it to you. All that the Father has is mine. For this reason, I said that he will take what is mine and declare it to you. The gospel of the Lord. All right, let's see if we can get ourselves into more trouble here. I got to sit down. I am so tired. I'm just tired. I'm like road weary tired, and I'm going to even make sure that my phone is turned off, which is not just a commercial for the rest of you out there, but a reminder to myself. We'll see how long I can sit here, because actually moving around gets me to remember things like sermons. And no matter what I've done this morning, I just can't seem to get the format to stick in my brain. You know, it's almost like second nature. You know, the way I've learned to do sermons here with you, you know, committing it to memory, working on it like feverish craziness, and then in the morning getting up early and then getting it in your head. And then as soon as it's done, it's done. You may come up to me a couple hours later and say, I really like what you had to say about it. I won't remember a thing you're talking about. In some ways that's a curse, but in other ways it's really good. It empties the file cabinet again. There's room, right? The bad side of that is I can't remember if I've told you this story or that story, or if I've read this text or that text, and which is a good reason why pastors tend to move every few years, so that they don't have to run into that trap, right? And most pastors, you know, write them all out. So after you've got about 6 years worth of stuff, you can move on and you can quit writing sermons. And you can just give that stuff to someone else and just change the dates and the figures of history, and you're good to go until you die. And sounds like a good plan, actually. But here we are today trying to figure out what to say. And what I'm going to begin with is, before we put this on the web as a recording, we will talk about it, whether it's suitable to go on the web. First off, we'll see if I get stoned here. And if I get stoned here, I don't want to get stoned again on the web. So put your hand up if you got a rock with you. And Trinity, Trinity, Trinity. You know, how do you talk about it? You know, I know that there are at least half a dozen, if not more, people that have come and gone, been in seminary, been kicked out, tried to make it, didn't make it, did make it, and ran back and gave back their ordination, all within this room. And so I'm standing here with the microphone and the camera on me. Tell us something about the Trinity, Pastor Dave. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my best to talk around the Trinity and about the Trinity and see if I can make any sense out of how it works in our life, and more importantly, how it works within us in the way I've experienced it, not the way you know, all of the documents tell us. Which trust me, after reading the documents, you say, "Huh? How does that work in experience?" Oh, you'll find out. Well, I have found out a couple things, but it's been a tiring decade, hasn't it? A tiring few years. It's been a tiring a lot of things, and then I left church last week and was talking to Peg and Paul, who had spent a little time in the East Bay and in San Francisco, where I did a Lutheran year, which turned into like a Lutheran 5 years, and just loved it. And the Golden Gate Bridge, they drove across without paying a toll, I heard. And what's that? Yeah, they'll get billed. They'll catch you. But I love the Golden Gate Bridge. I've always been drawn to it, and even tried to take a bolt off of it, you know, with a wrench. They got these bolts that are that big, and there have to be 10,000 bolts in that bridge. Joel, you've lived out there, right? Yeah. Did you ever get a bolt off that bridge? It did not occur to him. Dennis Gilbertson's son, Joel, lived in the Bay, and it didn't occur to him to get the bolt off the bridge. My friends just refused to let me get a bolt off that bridge. And I said, there's so many, they'll never miss it. And they'll say, well, there's a reason for all those bolts. And I could point out a few bolts. I always went out there with a group. I never went out there alone. I don't know why, it just happens that way, and I'm glad. You can't go out into something so immense, especially when the fog rolls in. And sometimes it can roll in pretty unexpectedly, and there you are. And when the fog is so thick, it is an Alfred Hitchcock film. It is like something's going to reach through in a Stephen King manner and grab you out of that fog. And it is spooky. I mean, you can't literally see 2 feet in front of you, and you can see the fog, right? And you can touch it. It's a cloud. And so finally, they did buy me a bolt. They went to a store and they bought a bolt as big as the Golden Gate Bridge's bolts to keep me from taking a bolt off. And it cost $35 just for the bolt. They bought the matching lock nut that goes with it, and that was the same price, almost $100 to pay for this bolt. So I wouldn't take a bolt off the bridge. And so all of that to say, I'm fascinated with it. But when you walk across that Golden Gate Bridge, it's kind of like the life we've been living now for a while. And you know, in some ways, the world says, well, welcome to the party. We've been walking in a fog for decades, and you know, all over the world. You know, people, you know, living in refugee camps in Israel and Syria and Turkey and now all of Poland and Ukraine. I mean, it just goes on. And we have a few speed bumps with elections. And okay, let's not just call them speed bumps. You know, we've had some serious, as we know, with the hearings going on. To talk about the January 6th insurrection. And it's stunning that we've come to this place. And at the same time, we've gotten so used to it, we kind of think, I wonder what Fox is showing at this time. Maybe it is better than the hearings. And because it's become commonplace to see the absurd. And so you don't know what's going to come next on the bridge of life that is our life. And as you step, you just don't know what will come next. And so I I leave that with you. Just hold on to the Golden Gate Bridge. That's just the metaphor we live with. And but I'll also say I have a friend of mine that I've come to love. I've really come to love this friend of mine. Let's call him Feral, like a feral cat. Feral. His name is Feral. And Feral lives on a street. And Feral really does not desire to have kids around very much at all. Doesn't trust kids at all. And if you've ever had kids or been around kids, you know what he's talking about. You know, Elsie, I don't know what you're going to do for 1 minute to the next. I mean, it's like, how do I trust what you're going to do? And you spook us. You know, you move fast, and then we get jumpy. And but they put up a basketball net right in front of his house on this street. And the kids that play there, I know pretty well, and they're sweet kids. I mean, they're really sweet kids. But once kids start playing basketball and making noise, kapong, 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 poof, good, awesome, high fives, you know, at 10 at night, outside of Farrell's bedroom window. It doesn't go well. Well, I should have known the pressure cooker was working. It was just working, and I heard about it a lot. And I just kept hearing more and more about that basketball hoop. And this does have a point in the sermon. It does. The Golden Gate Bridge, I'm not so sure. And I wove these together really well in my mind. I missed a few cues. Some haven't come in. Some have. It's gonna be. You put it together. It's like assembly required. And so all these conversations Farrell had with these kids for weeks about how they should move their net and how they should quiet down and they should not do things after a certain time of the day. The only problem is he's never had those conversations with them physically in the present real world. He's had them in his head. And I don't know about you, but I do that all the time. You know, I've had conversations with every one of you practically about what bugs me about you, and I know you've probably had the same with me, and sometimes I think part of the requirement of growing up is to keep some of that stuff in your head. That's where it belongs, and then give it a rest, and you know, exercise it. You know, just get rid of it, dump it, so that you can have an open file cabinet, right? But Farrell had all these conversations in his head. And then the night came, about 9:30, they were playing basketball out there. He'd had it. He'd talked to them. If he's talked to them once, he's talked to them 1,000,000 times. That's it. He goes walking out there, doesn't say a word. And after somebody's jump shot, they're kind of appalled as Farrell's walking towards them. They're like, what is... He grabs the ball, almost falls, takes the ball, goes in his house. And lets out a grunt and a gripe and a growl and yells a couple other things and goes inside the house. That's it. I don't think it was 15 minutes before my phone was ringing about what had happened, and that be what it is. And I think how do you get to be at the place where Farrell is? How do you get to that point where you just don't understand that your reality is not the only reality? And even if it is, because he's got an adequate gripe, right? I mean, but how do you get to that point? And I was just kind of, I said, okay, I'll talk with him when I see him, but I've got to approach him like a feral cat. You know, you gotta move slow, no fast movements like a kid, and eventually something. And so that was going on, and the cooker just kept going for a couple more days. How in the world do you get to be like that? And this is where the Trinity comes in. It's how it works, I think. My mom's on here too, iPad 2. This will be one of the sermons that she'll refer to. Like, I just don't know what you were talking about. But she's getting used to it now. We are all a Trinity. We are all a Trinity. We carry the Trinity within us. We are the Trinity. And it works like this. And blessed are the children, by the way, because they're not quite there. They get to be themselves. But we've got this Trinity that we carry around, and we forget it. And it works like this. My daughter was getting off the bus when she was 5. And I've told you this story before. I'm just going to give you the small little illustration. She was getting off the bus, and I could see right away she was upset. She was walking across the street. I don't think it was the first week of kindergarten. And she gets up the driveway. Usually she throws her arms out and starts jabbering about her whole day, but this time nothing. Stone face, she goes behind a tree and she bursts into tears and she can't stop sobbing. And, you know, as a father, and here, in case you want a trigger, think Trinity, right? As a father, I immediately go to the hurt and I go to the situation with my child, with my daughter, and I'm feeling her feelings. I'm there with her, and I scoop her up in my arms and I get down on my knees and I have her sit on my my lap as we're both kind of crumpled there. My tears are running down my face. I don't even know what for, but I feel the same feelings. At that moment, my daughter and I are one, father and daughter. And I'm starting to wonder as I'm crying with her, what could possibly be going on that she's crying like this. And I know why I'm crying now. I'm crying because I'm 5 years old too. Because I'm a son. I'm a father and a son, just like you are a mother and a daughter. So there's part of the Trinity right there. And as I'm there with her crying, I'm forgetting momentarily that I'm a father. And now I'm just a son, and I'm crying because of some hurt somewhere, sometime that befell me as a 5-year-old. And I viscerally can feel it. It's in my heart. And it's being connected and triggered by my own child. And so I can have the wherewithal, thank goodness, in that moment. I don't always have it. Sometimes I forget that, okay, wait a minute. In this moment, I need to remain the dad. I need to be the father. That moment I did. And I dried up my tears and I said, sweetie, what happened? And she says, and I don't remember the name, but, you know, Lucia's not going to be coming to school anymore. She's going to move. She's leaving the school completely. And I said, well, who's Lucia? She's this girl in 2nd grade I just met on the bus. Have you ever met her before? No, I just met her today and now she's gone from my life forever. She's not coming back tomorrow. They're moving tonight. Okay. It meant so much to her that I sat there. She still remembers it, that I was there holding her. She doesn't remember who Lucia was. Nobody does. But it triggered something for us, and it's within us, and it's always there. And sometimes it's just not easy. We forget that we are a walking Trinity. And the Spirit's within us too, to give us some kind of an idea of what's right and wrong. We know it's within you. It's written on your heart. The Spirit is there. You just have to be open and recognize it, acknowledge it. So how can you get to the point where you forget that? I ask, because right now I remember it, and I wish everybody else could. Right. Well, this morning about 5 o'clock, this morning, 5 o'clock, which is part of my problem of remembering the sermon. It's like, how could something like this happen to me in the morning at 5 o'clock? It's like June 12th, 5 a.m., across the street from our house is a group of boys that slept over. And they love basketball. They got up at 5 a.m. and they all went outside with their basketball. And there must have been 6 of them. The mayor's 2 twin sons are a couple of them too. And usually they're good kids. But there they were pounding this basketball and yelling and screaming like it's noon. It's 5 a.m. I check my clock. I check it twice. I think, am I dreaming? And I look out the window and there are these boys slam dunking a basketball. And they're little boys. So they've taken the hoop and they've readjusted it so it's really low. So they can like jump off of a little trampoline and dunk, and they're having a great time at 5 a.m. And it is so loud. I mean, the birds are not awake yet. It's still not even, the sun has not come up. And I just can't believe how loud it is. And I'm laying there and I think, well, I can sleep for another half hour, and I close my eyes. And I can't tell you how much inside I forgot myself. And I forgot the Trinity, I'll tell you that. I was so mad. And then I just kept laying there thinking, well, they're just boys, you know. They're just having fun. They just forgot the time, which is one of the things that we can do as kids. We can forget time. Adults generally don't. And I thought, well, I know what it's like, and here's where I went. I went, well, I am a father, and I know what it's like to have excitement about playing basketball or some game, even if it's 5 a.m., and you forget about the neighbors. And I thought, I could, and then I got concerned for them, and I wanted to go downstairs, go outside, and say, you know, I just want to give you the inside scoop here as a dad and as an adult. And you know, if you could just redo your morning, guys, it's going to go better for you in the world, because I'm going to do it really gently. But there's a woman next door to you who looks like a really sweet, sweet little old lady. And I know that she can wield lightning bolts, and she's gonna burn you to a crisp. And then if she doesn't get all of you in one swipe, the 2 neighbors across the street are going to get you. And then I want to tell you about the other neighbor to the other side, but this is not going to go well for you if you guys make it through the morning. So why didn't you go in and have breakfast, maybe watch an NBA game, learn some moves, and then come back out? And then I got to thinking about, this is a really tough one, how fixing the world is not completely up to me, right? And these boys have to learn how to be humans in the world. And even if I did go out there, it's not like they're going to get the lesson completely. And so I just laid there. And I was more at peace. I think the Father and the Son were united in myself. And I thought, you know, those poor boys, they're going to get over it. Number one, there's power in numbers. They're all together. They'll have the same lightning strike, get them all, and they can process that later. What I came to find out later is the SALT II agreement that took place between Farrell and the neighborhood boys did take place, and once Farrell was made to understand how much he frightened the kids, it just melted his heart. He just was so appalled at himself. He couldn't sleep for days. And in the end, I never had to say a word. And he heard through the grapevine that he scared the boys, and he was actually scared of them, which is why he hasn't gone out there to yell at them for a million conversations. but his heart melted, and somehow the Spirit was working in him. And then somehow I think he was frightened as a kid. And then he was in touch with that son. And then as the adult, it all came together, and it melted everything, and it was able to thaw out. I think that's how the Trinity works within us. It's not in the the Concordat of Agreements or Augsburg Confession. Not exactly like that, but I think we've got the possibility of being in touch with all of it right within us. If we can just get our ego that's always chattering. Mine was chattering right before I came out here. Great. You spilled water all over the place. Microphone's probably not gonna work. Vicky may oversleep completely. And it'll be all right. Just sit over there and be quiet for just a little bit. This is all they can expect. The world we're living in with all the fog on the bridge, which gets me back to the bridge. And this is how we end. When the fog is rolling in on the bridge of the Golden Gate, I hope you get a chance to walk across it. It is a long bridge. It's like 73 miles long. When the fog's there, it's like 78 miles long. And once you start stepping out on it and you can't see, it gets longer the longer you walk, and you don't walk fast. Because it's a grate. You can see through the grate. And you can feel the movement. And you start walking. You better walk with people. You better not go alone. You know, you gotta, through life, you have to walk with others, which is what communities of faith are about. We're walking with each other, right? I'm not talking about just bowling club. Bowling clubs could probably do the same thing if they were intentional about it, but this is the only place I know that's intentional about saying, man, would you just grow up, Frida? And you can say the same to me, and we can say, why are we all so white? What happened to us? Roland go anyway. Person of color with his 2 kids, he's in the nursing home. Why are we living this thing out called segregation? It's that here, but at the bowling club, it'd be a little harder. We walk together on this bridge to say, how do we do this thing? And this is the that's stark about the bridge. It really gets me. You start walking on the Golden Gate Bridge, and I don't know how, I think it's every 50 yards or something, or 50 feet or something, there's a suicide phone. You don't have to dial. There's no numbers. You pick it up and there's somebody there to talk to. Don't do it. And the people that jump from that bridge, they never have a couple people with them. They're alone. I can say that I know what that feels like to be alone, and you lose all hope. Any hope you had is gone. So when you get to that point, you reach out. I say we can all reach out. At any moment, you can stop and you can pick up the phone. Right? You can just pick up the phone. I'm really struggling here. And you can be back in touch right now. But you go together as a group, and you can get across that bridge. You can do just about anything as a group. And it doesn't mean life is going to go better for you. No, life is going to just be crummy sometimes. That's just the way it is. But to share that with others, it goes better. If you bleed with somebody, it feels better. On their lap, what are you crying for? Lucia's never gonna be on the bus. Like, you don't even know Lucia. I forgot I don't know Lucia. I should probably If you're married to a therapist like I am, then you get the question, well, then let's investigate what you are crying about. Let's go deeper. Oh my gosh. Can't Lucia just be Lucia? Because Lucia's never Lucia. And it's true, isn't it? It's never the thing that it's about. Yeah, so the Trinity is within us. And I think when we're young, like Elsie over there, it's not quite there yet. The father and the mother, they're outside of Elsie. No, it's not true. There are some times when Elsie's on the playground, I know this. Elsie, what are you, 12, 10? 10, almost 11. When you're on the playground and you think about going over there and taking that girl that you don't like, and you want to grab her hair and just shake it. Yes, she says yes. But you don't do it, do you? You don't do it because you've got your mother in your head. You've got your mother within you saying, Elsie, things won't go better for you if you pull that girl's hair. There's a reason why she's doing what she does. It's not nice, it's not right, but that will only make it worse. So even Elsie's got the Trinity within her, and then she doesn't do it all the time, like her brother. I have no dismount. I have no benediction for you. I'm done. I'm a crummy Trinity. I'm glad to walk the bridge with you in the fog. It is so hard to just be a Homo sapien some days and some weeks, and I'm glad to walk with you. And I'm sorry if I've been just a bear to you, which I can be and have been. Will continue to be from time to time. I'm working on it. Okay, amen. They should have put that in the Augsburg Confession. I really think they should have. We've got offering here, and I've got a funny feeling time went too long. No, we're fine, Vicki. No. So I think we all need to sing happy birthday to Elsie, whose birthday is tomorrow, right? It's tomorrow. She said almost 11. She's gonna be 11 tomorrow. So we're gonna sing happy birthday. You're the first person we've sung happy birthday to in 2 years. So it's pretty special. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Oh boy. Maybe you have a wish in your life. I wish I could have really landed that sermon. I think that could have been a really good sermon. And these people walking on the bridge with me are saying, "It's okay, Dave. That's a good sermon. That's a fine. That's the best. That's like good doggy. Good dog. You're such a good dog." Bless you all. Offering. Does anybody have an offering they'd like to offer? You can put your real offering in a plate as you go out the door if you'd like. And thanks to everybody that continues to send things in. It really helps keep things going in an amazing way. No other announcements or offerings. We're going to go to Vicki playing a piece. I'll give one more last look to Zoom land. Yeah. Oh yeah. Can she bring it up here? As they're getting a camera all ready for Vicki and all of that, we're going to show, Elsie's got something that she drew. Show it to the camera right there. Got to go closer. we go. Oh, you've got a banner?
Got the thing that's up there.
Yeah. Can I wrench its little neck? He drew that banner right there. I messed it up. Did I mess it up? Did mess it up. Nice. Just did that just now. Thank you. And the Christ candle. That's fantastic. Oh, I'm doing that. All right, here we go. I'm going to sit over there so you can see Vicki. Vicki's going to unmute. Vicki. Okay. We have our prayers of the people coming up here, and yeah, thanks for that piano piece. Yeah, you know, it's not too long ago that there were only 20,000 AR-15s in this country. There were only 20,000 AR-15s, military-grade assault rifles, on the streets of this country. And now there are 20 million, 20,000 to 20 million AR-15s. We're just about to surpass the yearly, get this, the yearly average quota for mass shootings. And it's barely June. We're not even halfway through the year yet. They figure that a mass shooting happens every 15 hours. Normal, right? Normal. The fog is so thick on this bridge, and sometimes you think you don't know where it's going to go or how you're going to get another step. We'll make it together. We'll make it. The sad part is not all of us. Not all of us are going to make it. We have to keep walking, and we have to keep working. There are so many, they don't even name them anymore unless they get over a certain number. But at barbecues, at graduations, at dinner parties, every 15 hours. I think we all need to remain seated with the weight of that. So we'll have a moment of silence in the middle of our Richard Rohr prayer this morning that you can offer your own in the silence of your hearts. I say in the silence of your hearts because it's hard to hear each other from Zoom land to here, and we want to be inclusive as best we can. But so let us pray. Oh, great love, thank you for living and loving in us and through us. May all that we do flow from our deep connection with you and all beings. Help us become a community that vulnerably shares each other's burdens and the weight of glory. Listen to our heart's longings now for the healing of our world. Knowing you are hearing us better than we are speaking, we offer these prayers in all the holy names of God. Amen. Our closing hymn is Come Join the Dance of Trinity, 412. This would mean a lot more to you if you knew what the Trinity really was. But I think we've been working on that for a long, long time. And so 412. Go. Now you can hear me, can't you? All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here, for walking on the bridge together. That's what we do. I heard a really neat thing. My niece, who married a Muslim man, and we went out to LA a couple of years ago to marry them, and they had to get an imam from a long ways away that would be willing to be there with a Lutheran, a Christian Lutheran. And she sent me this text last night late that said, there's different ways to explain, why we're doing what we're doing. And she said in this text, there was a woman who was on her deathbed and called her niece, and the niece answered, and she'd been struggling with cancer for a long time, and they knew it was going to happen sometime, that she was going to die. They just didn't think it was going to happen so fast. And they were having their chat, and at the very end of the conversation, her aunt said, and she's only 67, and her aunt said, "Hey, I hope I get to see you again." Was her last words. And then she said, "I hope I get to see you again too." And the other end of the phone is quiet until all this rustling starts to happen. And her aunt's daughter gets on the phone and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She just ended right there. And then she was reflecting on the very last words of her aunt were, "I hope I get to see you again." And whatever you think about heaven, gold paved streets, it's a metaphor, people. All we really hope for is to just see each other again, right? And that's what we do each Sunday. We come back together and we see each other again. We get to see each other again. That's all there is to it. And that kind of boils it down, doesn't it? It's like this shitty bridge we walk across. We get to see each other again. It's like telling my brother Albert on the phone this last week, "I'm going to come down and see you again sometime soon." He says, "Yeah, Mom told me that." "What are you coming for?" That isn't an indictment. "I'm going to come and get rid of that dresser we unloaded. I already did it." For what? After all, I am the human doing, right? Because I just want to see you again. So a blessing. Hope to see you again. May the blessing of the rain be on you, the soft, sweet rain. May it fall upon your spirits, that all the little flowers may spring up and shed their sweetness on the air. May the blessing of the great rains be on you. May they beat upon your spirit, wash it fair and clean, and leave there many a shining pool where the blue of heaven shines, and sometimes a star. That's it.